I just want to kind of start out a little bit. Has anybody here ever been in the middle of, like, as you always hear the saying, a rock in a hard place? Like you got something in front of you, something behind you, and you just feel like the world's caving in on you? Well, we're going to kind of talk about that today because we're going to be in Exodus 14. So you all can turn your Bibles to there. And as you turn in there, just to give you some context, so the part I'm going to be reading, I'm going to be starting in verse 10. So this is after Pharaoh let the Israelites go. They left Egypt, and they were led by God out. And then Pharaoh kind of changed his heart, and he goes after them. So, and then you see them there. I'm not going to pronounce the name where they are. It's the city of Pi. That's all I'm going to say. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. And they were there, but they had the Red Sea in front of them. They had, the Egyptian army coming to them behind them, and they felt stuck. And we're going to read what God does for them. And I just want you to see how it can apply to your life today and any issues you're going through. Maybe it's a job struggle. Maybe it's your calling in life. Maybe it's financial issues. Maybe it's something else. But you can apply this to like anything in your life. So let's just talk about a couple things. So starting in verse 10. So as Pharaoh drew near, the sons of Israel looked, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them. They became very frightened. So the sons of Israel cried out to the Lord. Then they said to Moses, "It's because they were not no grave. Is it because there was no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you dealt with us this way? Why did you bring us? Bring us out of Egypt." Sorry, I'm the best reader in the world too, but that's okay. So as we can see here, there's three struggles they were facing, and we face the same thing today. So the first one you see is fear. They were terrified when they saw the Pharaoh's army coming at them, because they got one thing pressing on the other side. They got the sea. They're like, how are we crossing that? The second thing is we like to pass blame. I think I'm really big on this one. This used to be a big part of who I was. But they blamed Moses for bringing them there, and they thought it was all his fault. They chose the left. I mean, if you ask me, but we do that too. Some circumstance comes in our life, and we'll blame something else. We'll pass the buck. We'll, say it's not fair. Only if I had that person's life, or only if I had that person's ability. We can look at all things. It's like, oh man, I don't teach like Pastor Harry. So are you sure? I mean, that's what I thought when I started there with the youth. I'm like, I'm not a teacher. Like, no way, But the Lord had different plans, and it was just listening to him and taking that step. And then the third thing is we like to return to our old lifestyle. They wanted to go back to being slaves. I don't know anybody that was a slave that really wanted to go back to it. But they did. That's what they were crying. They're like, it would have been better if we just were there. So, I already talked about that. We're good there. All right. So, verses 13 and 14, moving on now. Actually, I skipped a verse, didn't I? I didn't read 12. That's right, I'll read it now. Is this not the word that we spoke to you in Egypt, saying, leave us alone that we may serve the Egyptians, for it would be better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. So that was the part I was talking about, returning back to our old lifestyle. So now moving on to 13 and 14. But Moses said to the people, do not fear. Stand by and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish to you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you will never see them again. The Lord will fight for you while you keep silent. So there's two things in here. Don't be afraid and stand firm. So not fearing. Keep praising God no matter what happens. Didn't we just sing about that? It's so funny. Like, I think about it. It's like, how are these songs ever going to relate? Like, I'm thinking when I was preparing for this, like, they ain't going to find any songs for me. Like, that never happens. And it does. I'm reading like, yep. So, and then standing still. This is my biggest weakness. Is standing still. I'm the type of person, if there's an issue, I just want to tackle it. I forget about I don't even want to give it to God. I just want to roll. Like, something's going on. All right, I'll fix it. And yeah, that doesn't work. So let God work instead of you trying to fix everything yourself. When we try to control the situation, nothing changes. It doesn't. And I think in my life, I think things actually went backwards when I tried to fix it. And then you dig yourself in a deeper hole, and then you're like, all right, Lord, now I need you. And he's just like, all you do is believe and stand still, and I'll work for you. So the Israelites were focused on what scared them. They had this, like I said, the sea in front of them, the army behind them, and Moses reminds them to just focus on God and what he was about to do. Sometimes we need just to be still, wait, and listen. And I wrote this just to be stupid for everybody that knows. If you know Vanilla Ice, Vanilla Ice, stop, collaborate, and listen. Okay? You got to stop. You have to get your stuff, give everything to God, and then just listen to what he's going to do. And that's so hard, but so easy at the same time. It just is. And this is just some of the stuff. I think this is relevant, though, because this is some of the stuff the Lord's been kind of putting on my heart for me personally. So it's kind of rolling on. So I'm going to give you what's kind of coming through me, too, as well. So moving on, starting on 15. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the sons of Israel to go forward." I just want to stop there real quick. I wanted to go forward, but why are you crying out? The Lord said, "Moses, why are you crying out?" And when I think about that, I was like kind of pondering for a little bit. I was like, what does he mean? And to me, like I was just thinking about it, I think we can get stuck into prayer mode. I do that. I'll just sit there and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. Lord, fix it, fix it, fix it. Or Lord, what's this, what's that? But if you're not moving, if you're not at least attempting to do what you think he's telling you to do or what the word may say about that situation, what's going to happen? He's not just going to do it he'll do it for us, but he's not just going to do it. Like, he wants to see our faith in everything. I just really thought that was funny. We just need to move forward and just pray and give it to him and then go. All right, 16. As for you, lift up your staff and stretch your hand over the sea, divide it. And the sons of Israel shall go through the midst of the sea on dry land. As for me, behold, I will harden the heart of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them, and I will be honored through, honored through Pharaoh as all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. Then the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord, and I am honored through Pharaoh, though the chariots and the horsemen. The angel of God who has gone before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them, and the pillar and cloud moved from before them and stood behind them. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and there was a cloud along with the darkness, yet it gave light at night. Thus the one did not come near the other all night. All right, so there's a lot in there. Okay, so we see this. So God commands Moses to lift up his staff and stretch it over the sea. And I'm just kind of picturing, imagine what that would have been like hearing that, just, hey, lift up your hands and the staff and spread it and I will part everything in front of you. I know what I would have said. Yeah, right. That ain't happening. Not to me anyway, But so you have this running through your mind. What was going through Moses' mind at that? Just, really? You're going to part this whole thing? And the big thing I think of is just doing some study with it, how wide was that part for all the Israelites to cross it? You hear some different things, and I'm like, that thing had to be massive for all of them to cross in just one night. But I would love, you always hear, if you can go back and see anything, what would you want to see? I'm like, dude, that'd be awesome to go see that. I don't know. That'd be great. And then God placed a pillar of the cloud between the Israelites and the Egyptians. He was protecting his people. Doesn't he do that to us? We may not see it, but man, I think of everything. I remember my wife Shannon and I, we were driving down to Virginia one day, and it was night, and I was down 83. I wasn't speeding, but I wasn't driving the speed limit, we'll put it that way. I had a tire blow out, and we did a 360 across all 3 lanes of 83. And the car went into a embankment. I ripped off the back end of the car. But when we were driving, I don't know why, everything just slowed down. I looked up 83 because we were going south, and there wasn't a car in sight, not one. I'm like, this is kind of odd. And as soon as we hit off the road, all these cars started flying by us. And I'm like, Lord, did you really just hold up traffic for us just so we could cross? And it was weird. And then these three guys came running up, and they were off-duty police officers. And they're like, man, we saw everything. Like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I looked over at her. She was fine. And they were just like, yeah, we don't know what happened. We just saw your tire blow out, and all of a sudden you spun out and hit that, and 3 cars must hit you or something like that. I was like, there wasn't a car in sight, officer. He's like, yeah, there was. I was like, no, there wasn't. And it just made me think again. It's like, wow, Lord, you really have your hand on us. So God did this miracle to show that he alone can deliver us from the impossible situation. Man, I need that word. I really need that, because there's just times and stuff in our life that we're just thinking, I'm like, are we ever going to get out of this? Is this ever going to be different? Can I really make a difference in these teens' lives? I mean, it's a big weight on my shoulders, is trying to make sure the teens of this church stay committed to the Lord if they know the Lord. If they don't know the Lord, to know the Lord, because when they get to that next step of young adults, man, life's going to hit them in the face. And they need to be ready, and they need to be prepared, knowing that they can stand firm on this book alone and who Jesus is, and they can live their life to the fullest. And that he alone deserves the glory when victory comes. Man, that's powerful too. Are we praising him when the wind comes our way, or are we just putting it on our back? And we have a lot of teens in this church. I know that you can talk to them about it. They're the most humble people on the planet. We got such great youth in this, and I give praise to the parents of this church for how they're being raised. Like, you don't hear any of that. You hear the other way. You hear this. You don't hear, oh yeah, that's just because I'm talented. No, you hear, just Lord bless me. Nah, that's the way it should be. So moving on, verse 21 and 22. Then Moses stretched out his hands over the sea, and the Lord swept the sea back with a strong east wind all night and turned the sea into dry land. So the water was divided. Then the sons of Israel went through the midst of the sea on dry land, and the waters were like walls on the right hand and the left. I think that would be fearful. First of all, there's 2 miracles in this that you can see. One, the sea parted. You don't just walk up the water and go like this and it moves. But then how high was those walls? I mean, you got to think, I don't know. I mean, I've heard stories that could be close to like 2 to 3 million Israelites, and so like that had to be not just 2 people or 3 people walking side by side. It's probably hundreds and thousands of people walking in lines just to get across that. So I read somewhere they think it could have been a couple miles long. That's crazy. It's like this parking lot wide, probably more than that. Can you imagine just when you're looking and you see these walls of water beside you? So there was the 2 miracles, and then of course the land under the water was completely dry already. So like as soon as the water moves, it's dry. That does not happen, because if not, they'd be walking through mud. It would have been hard to drag everything they were carrying. Like it would have been a mess. So the Israelites walked on the ground land with walls of water on each side. I'm trying to imagine that. I really am. When we walk through trials, it feels like walls are closing in on us. But God holds them back until we reach the other side. And that's just amazing. We're talking about some of the things in the songs you're hearing. Like they're walking, how much faith is that? You see an open path through water. You can see land on the other side. You got walls on both sides. It's like, I'm thinking like if I disbelieve, are these going to fall on me? And then you got an army chasing you behind you. That's a lot of faith to just say, I just need to get to there. And that's all Jesus does. Like he's right down there and he just has his arms open. He's like, just come to me. Don't worry about what's on the left or the right. Don't worry about the world that's behind you, that's coming after you to try to pull you back. He's like, just keep your eyes focused forward. Come to me. And that's a beautiful picture of the Lord, how he is. That's what Jesus does. I look at my life. I mean, out of anybody here that I know of, I never thought I would have been saved. Never. I bashed God when I was younger. I had a lot of problems with reading and everything else. I blamed God for everything in my life. So talking about passing the buck, I passed the buck to the ultimate person. I was like, if God loves people, he doesn't love me. That's exactly what I said. I can remember the day laying on my bed when I was in junior high. I was like, my life is miserable, Lord. You don't care about me. You may love somebody else, but if you're a real God, you would love me too, and you would change my circumstances. And to this day, they still didn't change. I still struggle with reading a lot. So with the grace of God, I'm up here reading this. The youth know it. That's why I get them to read most of the time, because I hate stumbling over words. I just do. It's not a pride thing, but I feel like it doesn't portray the message well, but that's what God's using me as. And I love the work he's doing, because I was like, it's not me. It can't be me, because I know I would fail at it. So when we walk through trials, I already did that. He reaches us the other side. So 23 to 25, let's move on here. So then the Egyptians took up the pursuit, and all the Pharaoh's horses and his chariots and his horsemen went in after them into the midst of the sea. At morning watch, the Lord looked down on the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud and brought the army of the Egyptians into confusion. Where am I going to here? 25. Yep. He caused their chariot wheels to swerve, and he made them drive. He made them drive with difficulties. So the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from Israel, for the Lord is fighting for them against the Egyptians." Well, right there says it all. The Lord fights for us. I mean, we could just sum that up right there. But so the Egyptians go in, they're chasing him. You have Pharaoh, who's just I can't picture that guy at all, but he just wants everything for himself. So here he goes. He's going to try to get the Israelites back, but God confuses him. And Pharaoh realizes that the Lord is fighting for Israel, and fear struck his army. Now, if we think about that, though, like, isn't that exactly what the Lord does for us? He's going to confuse the enemy that's trying to attack us. That's what he does. I mean, we already know who won, right? Like, the devil's not going to win. Am I clear on that one? Are we all good on that one, right? So, yeah, thank you. So, we already know that, but it's just the fact is that they do that. So this shows us that when we trust God and keep walking forward in faith, there's the big word, in faith, he will fight our battles. Man, I want the Lord to fight my battles. He can confuse and weaken the things that once had power over us. I think it's funny, everybody here might not know this, but, our family, we kind of started a YouTube channel. We wanted to do, like, family fun stuff and kind of present biblical things into the world. And me and Shan just started doing shorts of videos and, like, Bible verses. And I did one, and this guy reached out to me. Don't know who he is. I'm hoping he accepted the Lord. But he just goes, I really want to accept the Lord. I don't know how. I keep sinning. What do I do? I just told him, you're never going to be perfect. Like, you just need to come to him with your sin and just fully trust in him, and he will save you. How cool is that? We just did a dumb little video. We've only been doing it for 3 weeks, and here's some guy from who knows where is asking how he can be saved. And I just thought that was so cool. I mean, I was like telling her, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, never would have thought this. We just saw a comment the other day, somebody from Germany. The guy's like, amen from Germany, keep going. I'm like, wow, that's cool. We're even going overseas now, and but that's the thing. It's like, and that feared me, sharing the gospel. But what a platform you can do that, and you can use something so stupid as YouTube to share the gospel. Not that it's stupid, but it's just something like that. But what else is going on in your life? Maybe it's a mission you wanted to start, and you're so fearful, and you're just like, man, but if you keep your eyes on Jesus, man, and if he really wants that for your life, it's going to come through. It's going to come through. I mean, I can't imagine, like, Harry just, after he got saved, I know he always wanted to serve, but, like, he didn't just jump right into it. I mean, it took him a while before he became a senior pastor, but he did multiple things. He just kept going. He just kept going in faith. Kept going, I'm going to serve in this ministry. Now I'm doing the youth. Now I'm doing this. Now he's a senior pastor, and to be honest with you, I don't know where you're getting any better teaching in York County. I'm not seeing it. It's not to put anything on the pedestal. I just don't see it. We checked out a lot of churches around here, and I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see the heart. I don't see God's presence. I don't see the camaraderie that this church can have, how we back everybody. It's so amazing. Anyway, moving on, wrapping up here. No, I'm not. I'm lying to you. We're on 26. You should ask the youth. I'm a mess. So the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your arms over the sea, and the waters may come back over the Egyptians, over the chariots and the horsemen. So Moses stretched out his arms and his hands over the sea, and the sea returned to normal state at daybreak. While the Egyptians were fleeing right into the Lord, overthrowing the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. The waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, even Pharaoh's entire army that had gone into the sea after them. Not every one of them remained. I said that wrong. You know what I mean. You can read it. So if we go back, didn't Moses say that earlier, what God told him? I forget what verse that was, but that just kind of came to mind. Where was that at? 10, 12. Where were we at here? Nope. Right there, verse 13. But Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, stand by and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. The Egyptians whom you see today, you will never see them again forever." Why are we worried about the things that are attacking us? I'm speaking to me. Why are we worried about the things that are attacking us? Why are we worried about our circumstance that doesn't look right to us right now? Why are we worried about, man, am I really doing what I'm supposed to? Am I really serving the Lord I want to? Should I be in a certain mission? Should I be helping out here? If you just take that step of faith, he's going to wipe out all that worry and that enemy that's trying to attack you forever. Not just for a little while, forever. I love that word, forever. So, God tells Moses to stretch his hands again, and the seas crash over the Egyptians, and he drowns the entire army. Now, I heard some people think it wasn't the Red Sea they went through, it was a swamp. And I agree with somebody I read. He's like, if he drowned a whole army and horses in a little swamp, that's a way better miracle than this one. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm thinking about that. I was like, that's very true, you know. But he did it. God includes us in his plans to remove the obstacles in our path. He uses our faith and obedience to bring about victory. Do we have obedience and do we have faith and obedience in what we believe God can do for us? Or do we just not see it happen and then we waver again? That would be me. This is hard, but to me it's the most important thing we need to do. Is just have faith and obedience. Lord, you said it, you're going to do it. I know when I met with Pastor, my new job kind of changed some of that. But he used to say it to me all the time. He was just have faith and obedience. Faith and obedience. Do you believe it? If you do, you'll see it in his timing and in his way. Because our ways are not his ways. And that's the biggest thing for me is I want to see his way for my life. I want you guys to see his way for your life. What are you called for? We all have something, even if it's something weird. I mean, I look at some of the youth, their talents, like what they can do for that stuff to serve the Lord is amazing. It's amazing what they can do. We got such talented youth. I'm bragging on them because I see them every Wednesday. I'm around them. And, you know, I'm talking because, like, these upcoming couple of years are going to be really hard for me. Because we got some great youth that are going to be leaving, stepping up into the world and heading out. And I got such great relationships with these guys, and I'm going to miss them. Not that I won't see them again, but I'm going to miss having them in class. I'm going to miss hearing their feedback. I'm going to miss hanging with them on the Friday night events. I am. There's a couple, not that I'm not talking about the ladies, but there's a couple guys that I just grew some bonds with. One left this year. He's not in. There's one leaving this year. Then next year is going to be even worse because there's 4 leaving. And, man, I'm just so proud of these young men. I really am. I can't wait to see what the Lord's going to do in your guys' life. All right, back to the thing here. So now we're going to wrap up, and then I got some things to say. Okay, verse 29. But the sons of Israel walked on the dry land through the midst of the sea, and the waters were like a wall on the right hand and the left hand. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day from the hand of the Egyptians, and the Israelites saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Did I say that right? Yeah, okay. When Israelites saw the great power of which the Lord had used against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord, and they believed in the Lord and in his servant Moses. All right, so let's look at this. So the Israelites see God's power firsthand. Has anybody witnessed God's power in firsthand? Oh, yeah. Keep saying it. I like saying that. Yeah, everybody's raising their hand. I can't see. There's lights in my eyes. So you guys speak. Can't see you. But, yeah, so they saw it firsthand. Can you imagine walking there just seeing all these dead bodies from your enemies laying right in front of you? I mean, that's a sight in itself. He delivered them from their enemies and from what seemed impossible. That is an impossible situation. I mean, I'm picturing in my head, you're walking through the water, you're wondering if that's just going to cave in. Is the Lord really going to hold it up? You have the army that's massive coming after you. They have weapons, you don't. They're skilled, you're probably not. I'm looking at my life, just certain things. I'm like, okay, that's not me. I could never do that. I got all these things attacking me. And then all of a sudden you just see everything that's attacking you laying in front of you. But I'm going to flip it a little bit. What are we laying? Are we laying at Jesus' feet what's attacking us? Father, I'm struggling reading. I give it to you. I do a lot of audible stuff. I drive probably my family nuts because I'm always using speak stuff and hearing things. But I learned that way. I can read it. That's how you say that word. That's pretty cool. Doesn't look like it, but that's what you say. And I do that a lot. And Aaliyah, I love you, but she's like, how do you not know that? I'm like, I just don't. I don't know how else to say it. I don't. You do. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you don't have that issue because it was a struggle. It still is. But, I'm just glad she doesn't have that. I'm glad our other two kids don't have that. But, man, it's a blessing. So, anyway, where was I at here? So, power firsthand was impossible. We talked about that. Then, finally, understanding that God is faithful and powerful. Right? He's going to do it as long as we ask about it. As long as we trust him, he's going to bring us to the other side of what he has for us. We should ask ourselves, are we willing to trust God in our life? Are you willing to trust God in your life? Sometimes in life, he brings us to a place where it seems like no way out. Has anybody been there? Some people are laughing because they're like, yep. So we can learn that he will deliver us, protect us, and lead us to victory. My paper's sticking. That's where we go. There we go. When we stop trying to fix everything ourselves and trust him, he can turn what looks like a dead end into a doorway to freedom. I don't know about you guys, but when I read this passage, I can see Jesus in everything. I already talked about the one. So you have the Israelites standing at the Red Sea. It's parted. They see freedom at the end. They see a victory at the end, which is Jesus with his hands wide open. They got the enemy behind him, and all they have to do is just not look back. Are we looking back to our past and what struggled us, maybe what hindered us? Maybe some inadequacies that we might have had that we're like, man, maybe I can never do that. Like, I still remember the conversation. It's been probably 8 years since I've been with the youth. My passion is, for everybody that doesn't know, is I struggled a lot as a teenager, just things. Just because of some of the stuff I couldn't do. I was always picked last. I didn't have really good friends. I put myself down more than others. I was just a mess. And I really want to start a youth rec center. Because today's youth, their way out is gangs. Why do they join gangs? Does anybody know why a kid joins a gang? The youth probably heard me say this about 1,000 times, but anyway, they join it because of belonging. They want to belong. They want a family. They don't come from families. That's why they do that. No offense, but they probably come home. They probably live with a single mom that's working 2 jobs just to put food on the table. The dad's nowhere in sight, and the only one they know to do is run to a group of guys that seems like they like them. And then once they get caught doing something, that group says, I don't know who that kid is. And now they're serving time for something that they probably really didn't want to do, and their life is a mess. Well, man, why not start a youth center where you can teach kids sports, you can teach them music, you can teach them arts, you can teach them a skill, and ultimately teach them about Christ. And give them a place that they can come where they can feel like they can belong, but they can contribute, and they can learn a skill that's going to set their future up. Whatever it is, I don't care. It doesn't need to be the biggest thing out there, but just something that they know they can do and they feel a belonging. But it's a great belonging. And I remember sharing that with Pastor. He paused, and he said, "Did you ever think about helping in the youth ministry?" I was like, "You mean teach?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Nope." He goes, "Oh, pray about it, pray about it." I'm like, "I'll pray about it." I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I go home, I tell Shan, she's like, "What are you thinking?" I'm like, "Me teach?" I was like, "I don't know." I said, "I'll pray about it and we'll see what happens." I said something to a couple friends, and my one friend said, "Man, you really love the youth." He goes, "Just try it, see what happens." I'm like, "Come on, man, you know me. I can't read. How am I going to teach?" I was like, "I'm not even going to know the words." I was like, "I'm going to look like an idiot." He goes, "Just do it." I was like, "Let me pray about it." So I prayed about it. It didn't hear a yes, didn't hear a no. So I just said, maybe I should just take a step. Because I never did that before. I never took a step on what I believed in. So next time I met with him, it was a couple weeks later, he goes, "So what do you think?" I was like, "I think I'll try it. We'll see what happens." So we go there. I didn't start teaching right away, but was helping out. And then Dan Hoffman, who you guys know, me and him, we came in at the same time. And then we actually just started leading the 7th and 8th graders, just me and him, with the other couple that was leading the senior high group. And I had to teach there. I'm like, "Oh, this is great." I remember my first message. I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I was like, I have no idea what I just said. No idea. I'm like, it took me like 3 weeks to prepare for it. I had like all these notes. I was like, does this even relate to what I'm talking about? I have no idea. I'm reading things. I'm listening to sermons. I'm doing all this stuff. And after a while, I forget who it was, but somebody just said to me, he said, "Are you listening to what the word says about the passage?" I'm like, no, not really. They're like, "Try it." And I did it, and now I don't need a whole 3 weeks to prepare a lesson anymore. But I took that step, and then it just kind of grew on me. And then I started liking the kids that we were hanging out with. I was like, "Man, this is pretty good." Wife was serving along with me at that time for a little while. And then all of a sudden, the kids saw what we're doing. They were coming to the events with us, and it was a great family thing. And then a couple years ago, the wife kind of felt like the Lord was calling her just to be home more with the kids. We needed to focus on the family at home. And around that time is when Pastor came to me and said, "Hey, since we really don't have a solid youth leader, will you take over?" I'm like, "Not really, but yes." No, I didn't say that, but in my head, I'm thinking that. I'm like, I don't know. Should I really be the leader? I kind of like that me and Dan were co-leading things there for a while. It was going smooth, but I understood Pastor's perspective of like, we need a focal person that we can say, "Hey, you make the call. You're the one that I can talk to about everything." And I prayed about that, and I'm like, "Lord, if this is what you want me to do, tell me. I said, if this isn't what you want me to do, tell me. If not, if I don't hear anything from you, I'll assume that's where I'm going." I didn't hear anything, of course. So I said, "All right, sounds good." And now I went and traded for the world. Right now, this is the season the Lord has me in, but that's exactly what Moses was. Moses is like my favorite friend. He stuttered. He did everything. He had all these inadequacies, and he led the people to victory. Even though he didn't really see it. He didn't get a chance to experience it. Now, my hope and prayer is for my life and your life that it doesn't take 40 years for us to get our victory. But if it did, would it be worth it? Some of us people that are maybe a little older might be like, "I don't got 40 years to my victory." But you already had 40 years in your life, so maybe your victory is closer than you think. For you young ones out there, fully trusting the Lord, so it doesn't take you 40 years. I think about this whole direction. The Lord took the Israelites the long way to have them go through trials and struggles and to truly trust him that he was going to take care of them when they got to their promised land. He could have took them a shorter way. It would have been a lot quicker. But I think with the way they were through, when you keep reading on, I think it would have got to their head too much if they would have got there quicker. They would have been like, "Man, it's way too easy." And life isn't easy. It's not. It's a grind every day. It's struggles. It's not perfect. But man, it's so much easier when you trust in the Lord because we know the outcome. I remember when I was young, when I used to bash God, I used to also fear death. I don't anymore. I just know when that happens, I'm going to be in his arms. And there's going to be a lot of things about me that are going to go away. I got bad neck, bad back. I can't read that well. I got a lot of stuff that goes on. I say words wrong. I don't have proper grammar. That doesn't bother me either. But everything's just going to be so great up there. whatever. And I use this story all the time. We got Mr. Dan, he struggles hearing. When he gets there, perfect hearing. Think of people blind, going to be able to see, and the first thing they get to see is Jesus. Man, what a picture that's going to be for those people. We may feel sorry for them now, but if they believe, man, their most precious gift is going to be the first time they're going to see their Creator, face to face with his arms open. I can't wait for that day. So all I was going to say is, Jesus, come. He's standing on the other side wanting us to come, but I'm telling him he better run and meet me halfway.